All right, we got one person watching, so I'm guessing we are live.
Right on.
All right, so we'll start this again. I'm just gonna plug the event for this weekend, January 7th, Bowling Green, Ohio, at the Ale House Bar and Grill. There's going to be a tournament as well as multiple super matches, and the event's going to be topped off by our match, the main event. So that's a big reason why I wanted to have you on today. Um, you mind just telling people who you are, and we'll kind of get into the interview?
Yeah, so my name is John Heynoski. I'm from Erie, Pennsylvania. Been in probably roughly about a decade now. Consistently a good 6 years strong, and coming out to face you, Kevin, in a few days, buddy.
Oh yeah, and we've had a pretty storied past, pretty good rivalry going, but
I agree.
we've only met in tournaments. This will be our first super match,
Right.
which I think is pretty interesting.
I agree. I agree. You and I think we're gonna have some time on the table this time. You know what I mean? I think
Uh,
we're gonna have
yeah,
some fun time. You know what I mean?
yeah, because it seems like at a tournament we might just meet and it's boom, done and over with, or we just pull each other one
Agreed.
time. So
Yeah.
we're finally gonna get that chance to meet each other, best of five, and we'll see how it.
Right. Well, like a lot of the talk too, Kevin, and I think that why that happens is because each one of our acid weapons is very detrimental to our how do I want to say it, like, our weak spots, I guess. Mine versus yours versus mine. And it's almost like, maybe depends on the refing that day, the style of setup, how you're feeling, So like you said, it's been an interesting past, vice versa. Let me shut these things off here.
I
I
think
don't know.
refereeing should be pretty good at this event. I know Billy Collins is refing, and I believe Christina Stoll too.
Oh,
So
good. Yeah, yeah.
all
Solid refs. I'm familiar with their refing.
yep, both certified.
And yeah, definitely, and they're fair too. And you know me, Kevin. I've never made a problem about reffing or a problem about a call. Man, I just adapt to whoever's there. I try to feed off the energy of the referee. I'll speak my mind, but I try not to give too much of a hard time because I know they have a job to do as well. So yeah, man. I mean, there's really I feel that there's nothing that I truly have to overcome, that's gonna be in my head that's, that I'm worried about other than just that I did my job and here we go.
For sure. Yeah, it's you never want to leave it up to the referees judging.
Yeah,
At the end of the
yeah,
day, the person you got to blame is yourself.
absolutely. And being a former wrestler, you know how that goes, man.
Yep.
It's like I'm sure your coach told you, you can't leave it into the ref's hand. He's there to do a job, but it's your job to not let him do too much of the job.
Yeah, you wrestled, you fought too, so you know how it is in one-on-one combat.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So for sure. And you and I are gonna probably finish off the super matches and then the tournament will start.
I believe that's how it's going to work.
Cool.
And another
Cool,
thing,
cool.
would you rather do the right hand first, since that's probably the more important of the two matches?
Yeah, that's cool. We can go right hand and then I'm down to go right into lefty, right when we're done
Yep.
with
Yeah,
righty. So
that's cool with me. So, yeah,
yeah,
main
we'll just
right and then right in.
yeah. We'll get some time. I say warm your left and right up at the same time, and I'm sure that from digging on the other side of the peg, our lefty will be warm,
Right.
ready to bang.
What about alternating? Would you like doing that or
I thought about that. I really did, Kevin. But I think I wouldn't mind maybe with this stage right now, just doing one, focusing on one, and then how about we see how this goes, man, and then maybe in the future we definitely set something up like that. Like if I can give you something lefty to make it exciting,
Mhm.
maybe in the future we'll do a right left like Travis and Dave did for the
Right.
show.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm always
Cool.
open for something.
I'm cool at this time just doing the entire right-handed match first, and then the left.
Yeah,
It's the best way to go.
cool. I'm down with that. And then, hey, man, in the future, absolutely. I enjoy changing it up. I'm getting more confidence in my lefty. So, absolutely, I think my lefty is going to be a force to reckon with here, soon.
Yeah, for sure. So Juan Ortega, he just asked, "Are you gonna enter the tournament after the super match?"
That's the plan, Kevin. I mean, here's the deal, Kevin. You know how it is. We can speculate whatever we want, but if we get into a dogfight, 2 or 3 matches, that cuts us down, hardcore for the tournament. So,
For
do
sure.
I love pulling a lot when I come out? Sure. So I like to jump into the tournament, absolutely. But you and I know that we have the ability to go quick, or we have the ability to drain each other's lifelines out. And it just has to do with that, man. Do I want to take on injury after you? So I'm coming out. I'm gonna make the 54. Coming out with intentions to pull the tournament, but like I said, you're the main goal. Get through you that match there, and then if I have something left in the tank, sure, absolutely.
Yeah, and I've done this.
Absolutely, 'cause I know there's a couple guys out there I want a piece of me too, you know?
Yep, I've done the same thing in the past where I traveled pretty far for a super match, and I'm like, man, I
Yep,
traveled like 4 or 5 hours. I'm not just gonna
mhm,
do a super match and then leave. So I end up joining the
right,
tournament, and then you end up not doing too good, or you lose to someone
right,
that you shouldn't have lost to, and
right.
then you're like,
Yeah,
should I really have joined it, or should I just did the super match and called it quits? So
absolutely. So that's why, like, I'm open-minded to it. In a perfect world, could you and I have this stellar, badass best of 5 and still have something in the tank because, we didn't injure each other, or, hey, man, you and I have there's anything could happen with you and I if the match gets stopped. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So,
if the
what I
tournament,
want to say, Kevin, is I have plans to pull the tournament, but I'm not looking past you at all. It's like
yeah,
wrestling, bro, one match at a time.
for sure. So
So
something I wanted to talk about was you have a pretty good team out there in Erie, PA, and you train with some pretty good high level guys. You mind getting into that a little bit?
yeah, so most of the time it's myself in my gym Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. Bart and John Baker come to my house usually 3 times a week. Um, and then on the weekend, Saturday, Sunday is hit or miss. Sometimes it's here. Sometimes we'll go to Chucky Peterson's house. He's got a good group of guys. Danny Hillard, Steve North, and some young guns out there that they practice every Sunday. So I usually try to get with those guys twice a month, and then depending on how the elbow is, I try to get with at Dave Chapey's house on Wednesdays. Um, that's like that's the big pulling day. You know, when I really want to get my hard work in. Uh, Obviously, Dave's there at his house. Then Colin Stroder shows up. James Wag, Bart comes. Adam Wilmot.
Hmm.
So I have some quality arms to be smashing on now, and I'm at a point where I can, give some work back. So it's full circle. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's a high level group of guys for sure.
Absolutely. I'm the weakest one of them all, so I'm always fighting uphill.
Oh yeah, it's hard to be the strongest when you're the smallest too, though. So
Yeah. Yeah, so you learn, Kevin, you know how it is, man. You learn how to dogfight a little bit and kinda just grab a hold of that big old hand and just take a butt whipping for a little bit. And if you end up stopping the match somewhere, well, then you figure out how to get back into it, and then you learn a lot of good skills.
yeah, and I think that's what makes us pound for pound so strong, is
Mhm.
because we're the smallest people. So our training partners are always the guys who are 198, 220,
Mhm.
and all they're doing is making us stronger. So um,
Absolutely.
it's got its benefits being small, but you're never going to be the strongest guy in the room. That's for sure.
Right on. Right on, man. It's fun, And yes, a huge shout out to my guys up here, man. I have a great crew of people. A lot of dedicated guys up here. I mean, you guys know Big Dave. Y'all know Adam, James, Bart, Colin, all those guys, man. Their faces are everywhere. So, um, and like I said, the other crew with Chucky Peterson, man, you'll be seeing those guys. Tyler Van Epps, I believe, is coming out with me. John Baker and Bart also. I believe my buddy Paul Barth might be bringing a couple guys from New York, but I believe he said he's showing up. So.
Yeah, I'm thinking this should be a pretty good turnout, I think. I mean, just based off what I'm seeing on Facebook, it's getting some pretty good advertisement, and I think it's up over like the interested people is like up over 150. So
Right on. Well,
hopefully it's
Kevin, you and I have been a talked about match for a while, and it's kind of like you and I run into each other at tournaments. We're like, yeah, we're really not trying to arm wrestle in a while because you're doing your thing and I'm doing mine. It's like I
right.
see you as hometown. You're 2 hours away, man. I could take any day I want, come out and see you and be like, hey, let's do a backyard best of five. So I think
And
that you and I are doing this, a little more for just because it is what it is. I mean, and I love you.
right, and even though we are competitors, we've come out and trained with each other
Yeah, all
multiple
the time.
times. So it's
Yeah, and
but
yeah,
like I was just gonna, you've been in the sport for almost 10 years now. And you also have a little bit of family history in the sport, correct?
right, absolutely.
You want to kind of get into how you start?
Yeah, it's really unique and kind of wild. So obviously, all right, my dad was a world champion in 1991. He went to Israel at 187 pounds. He was on the world team with Cobra. Cobra Rhodes won that year at 76. Um, Frank Bean, I believe, took second in the 242 plus. It was the big guy class at that time.
Mm-hmm.
I even think Ron Bath won that year. I think Chad Silvers might have took second to like Leslie Wims, maybe. But yeah, so it was just a lot of guys that still pulling now. Anyway, I really wasn't big in arm wrestling because I wasn't that good at it. And uh, you know, I believe it was 2012 when the show came out. I think they more put me on the show because I had a decent backstory. And I was arm wrestling with Bart and the guys because I was in between waiting to heal my back up for cage fighting. So I was in a motorcycle accident. I hit a car. A woman put out in front of me. Long story short, but I broke my back and broke my elbow, broke my shoulder, broke femur, all kinds of shit. And
All right.
yeah, man, I'll show you scars and stuff. I still sometimes like road tar and shit festers out of my body. I mean, my body made impact with this car. It's kind of wild. Anyway, um, I would ride my bike over to Bart's house and just kind of arm wrestle with these guys on Sunday, keep myself motivated until I was able to get back into the fighting game. Because at the time, that's what I was doing. I was like 145 pound, lean as hell, and just young, fresh out of wrestling and stuff. I really wasn't interested in arm wrestling, but just hung around the people. So the show came out, and from the experiences on the show, the camaraderie in the hometown from just the people that arm wrestled before, everybody that my dad influenced. It was so like magnetic, Kevin. It was like magnetic. It almost like didn't give me a choice, and I jumped on the show, man, with only like maybe 3 or 4 tournaments experience. And my first ever match was Sam Harris uh, out here in Erie. And Kevin, you there, bro? Okay, cool. I just didn't know if it was glitching. Okay, right on. So my first match was
Yeah,
actually
it's
Sam
a little bit
Harris.
of glitch.
He came out to Erie at the VFW club. Bart held a tournament. I believe it was Travis's like NAL when that stuff was out. So it was
Yeah.
it was fun. You know, I trained up. I had fun. I liked the intensity and stuff, the one-on-one, but I just really wasn't that good at it. Like I had that hit or miss um, success. And okay, so one tournament before the show, I was down in Connecticut. It was a Travis tournament. I met Chad Silvers down there. So it was super cool because when I was a child, I heard Chad Silver's name all the time by my dad. And then I finally seen this dude, and I'm like, holy shit, this dude has some arms on him. Like the rumors are true, you know? And I went 2-2 that day in the 76 class. I don't really remember who I pulled that day. It doesn't really matter. But what I do remember from that day is talking to Chad. I introduced myself, and he was like, if you don't do 1,000 reps of grippers a day, you're not an arm wrestler. And I'm like, well, fuck. So I went
Yeah.
and tried to do 1,000. I think I did like 250, and it was like, I'm not a son of a bitch, you know? So that has kind of
Got
been
a long way to go.
branded in my head, you know? So I've just always been a gripper junkie. So just a fun piece of history on that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I think. Go ahead.
I was going to say, getting into the sport, Kevin, it wasn't really, you know, my own will, man. It was kind of like an opportunity arose, and maybe something in my bloodline, you know, kind of took a hold, and I'm making my own path. You know, I got the same name as my old man, and a lot of times people think, you know, I'm trying to run, you know, his course, but you know, he lived his life. I do it. I do my way. You know, and he has his. He's just my, you know, good influence. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure. I think the first time we met was either 2014 or 15. Do you remember Battle on the Blacktop in Huron?
Outside that's when Joey Costello was there, right?
Yeah, reffing, right?
Yep. I
Well,
think you
whole
and I
crew.
met left and right that day, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, I remember for sure. That was a good day. Tom Taylor and Fenton, DJ Fenton.
Yep, yep. Yeah,
I
I
remember.
didn't I didn't know too much about the sport back then, or like the famous people involved and stuff. I know there were a lot of big names there, but I was just getting
Mhm.
into the sport then, and I remember like through the grapevine, they're like, "Yeah, that's the John Heynoski guy. He's one of the guys." So, yeah, I had my eyes on you from like that very point forward, and
Really? That's
yeah, it
awesome, man.
took me a couple tournaments before I finally got you. So,
You
and
did,
then
and I believe so Kevin, you beat me lefty the first time at Laterio's tournament at that one bar. You won the overall left and I won the overall right that day. Or
hmm,
I'm sorry, the most dynamic, right? Or no, it was the
yeah,
overalls.
right, you're right.
And then you ended up beating me. I think the first time you got a win on me, Kevin, was in Cincinnati, right?
Yeah, Stump Crew.
Yeah, that was a good tournament, man. That was a tough class. Dude, you were on fire that day. You
Yeah, I think
didn't you beat Roman Lefty?
yeah, that was like my breakout day because I think I beat you right-handed,
Mm-hmm.
correct?
Yeah.
And then
You took third, right?
I beat Dan Blanchard and Roman left-handed. So,
Yes. Yeah, bro, you were on fire that day. I
mm,
believe I like maybe took a fifth. I think Randy got fourth. You got third. Roman won the class. Who
yep,
took second that day?
I have no idea.
Me neither. I don't remember. I pulled Popeye, I pulled Randy, I pulled Blanchard, and I pulled you, and then you know what? I pulled David Lee that day too.
Yep.
And then
Yeah.
somebody else. I went like 4-2, maybe.
Yeah. Was that a 0 to 176 class?
Yeah, that was boot. Yeah, that was big.
Oh, it was probably, I can't remember who took second, but it was probably somebody that, yeah, I don't know.
That was a tough day. And then from there, Kevin, I think you had my number for at least a year, maybe 2 years. And then I've got
On it.
my first W in Winter Blast, right?
Yep. Yeah,
And
and you
that's it. Since we met, dude, that's it.
yeah. So yeah, that Winter Blast match, that's been in the back of my head for a while because
Uh-huh.
yeah, I mean, I didn't have anything for you that day. That's
You know what's
and
crazy, Kevin, is that was a whole new style. I just like I came with this whole new setup, and that tournament was almost like a breakout for me because it just everything clicked. Like every match for me went the same way, despite a few parameters. But it was like the first time I kind of found a good lane that I trust where I don't need to blast outside.
right, right. Yeah,
So
I think you just had a perfect strategy against me that day. I know you and Bart worked a lot, and I think
absolutely.
you anticipated what I was going to do, and you executed what you had to do perfectly.
Yeah, man, that's what it is sometimes, Kevin. It's like, if I know someone's acid weapon, I'm not necessarily going to run from it. Sometimes you got to embrace that acid weapon and you got to kind of, get in the fight. And if the motherfucker's just too much, well, then, yeah, figure something out. But I think running away from anything has consequences too. And I learned that running outside all the time can expose my bicep. And, unfortunately, that's always been something that has affected me. So it's either change or expect the same outcome. So I said, fuck it, I'm going to change.
Exactly. And that's the same with me because the beginning of my career primarily was just a one trick pony hook puller.
Mhm.
That's all I
Sure.
had. And lately, I mean, the top game's been getting a little bit better, the rising, the back pressure. So my goal is to be the most overall skillful as I can be. Like I don't want
Yeah,
to have a hook. I don't want to have just a hand. I want to have the entire package. So that's where I'm at right now is just trying to be um I don't want people anticipating what I'm doing and taking advantage of that anymore. So
absolutely, Kevin. You've already proved that you have a hook. So you have to understand that everybody is going to come looking at you and they're
yep,
going to try to just blow your hook away with these big banging ass guns.
exactly.
So you need to expect that, you might have a dude out there that might have a big enough gun to blow through your armor. So what are you going
Yep,
to do then? You just going to let him smash you for the rest of the time? Or are you going to adapt because you did your time in the gym? You figured out that, hey man, your hook is solid. You've been whipping ass, but it's not invincible. So and even like with mine, dude, my top roll game, I learned that as soon as someone caught me in their containment, it didn't matter how hard I hit somebody, the match stopped. It didn't matter where I was at. And
right.
you have to kind of stop and think, hey man, you got to change it up.
Exactly.
So I think that you
Exactly.
and I are going to have an interesting match, Kevin, because you and I are both coming in it open minded a bit.
Mhm. Yeah,
You know,
I agree with that.
and this is more than just rankings and anything like that. I mean, it's for me and you, bro. Like you're trying to see how you've evolved in certain aspects, and I'm going to see how I've evolved in certain aspects, and we're just going to throw down, man.
Right. And I mean, like, the rankings are cool. Like, it gives you a sense of urgency to continue climbing those rankings. Like, when I
Sure,
look up, I see Roman and David Stepanyan and Imeda. Those are obviously the guys that I'm after. Now,
absolutely, Kevin. I'm in the same boat, my dude.
yep. And I think, like, even though you beat me the last time we pulled, I think they have you ranked eighth and I'm ranked
Yeah,
fifth,
and that's
which,
rightfully so, in my opinion.
right. I mean, it is what it is. So,
I got nothing against that, man. You've been out. You proved yourself on some platforms that I haven't proved myself yet. So that's why I've never made a bitch about it.
right. And I think
Rightfully
that's a
so, man.
too is the more you travel and the more like They want to see how maybe I compare to the West Coast pollers, where if you
Mm-hmm.
stay on the coast a lot, they just don't got that much.
Yeah.
Um, they don't have that much knowledge on you and stuff. So
And
getting
that's and you know what, Kevin. I mean, I still feel like I'm somewhat of a journeyman in the game. So like, sometimes you don't want to peak too quick. I don't want to, I'm having fun grinding it out and testing my merit, going here, going to this dude's backyard, seeing if I got what it takes to fight this style, fight that style, fight this style. And then I come back and I sharpen my skills up because, the ultimate goal for me is to go overseas. So the only way that I'm going to prove that I'm worthy to go overseas is if I go to everybody else's backyard and whip everyone's style in the USA. Until I do that, I'm just a paper champion. So I could be ranked all I fucking want. It doesn't matter until me in my heart, I get this guy, I get him, I get him, I get him, I get him. Okay, cool. Now it's time for me to travel and let's see if I'm ready for the world status. And then I'll go. And if I do well, cool. I'll come back, go from there. If I don't, again, you know, that's just really the ultimate goal for me, man.
right. Yeah, and I think you were completely like you said. You don't want to peak too fast because
Yeah,
I your best years in this sport don't even start until after year 10.
right on.
So, I mean, we still got a long way to go.
That's what I'm saying, Kevin. And it's like I'm sure you feel like every time you crack a new level or you crack something new and you feel like you're an amateur, like you get to start over. Like I know that when I stay on a style for too long, and if I have too much success, I almost get bored. And it's like I like to seek out someone who gives me an ass whooping so I can just change my style up or learn something new. It's like we love this sport. This is who we are. So I want to learn and soak up and give as much knowledge as I can until that's the time that you're done in the sport. And I feel like absorbing all the knowledge is what keeps you around, keeps you smart, staying sharp by getting battle tested, understanding, how to heal properly and coaching up these young guns in the sport.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. So, what was I going to ask? Oh yeah, you were talking about being a champion. You are a champion in a East Coast league, correct? You're a belt holder.
So it's the coalition with James Reed. Kevin, that's the belt that I won at the Winter Blast.
Okay, okay.
Yeah,
Have you
Northeast
defended it?
Coalition they call it. Northeast Coalition. What was that?
Have you defended it yet, or has is Winter Blast the last thing?
So yes, I had a title defense with Paul Fisher
Okay.
October 29th here in town. He had won New England States and was able to challenge me for the belt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I actually remember that match. Now that you said something, that was a real good match.
It was a good match. It was a dog fight. I mean, he trained really smart, and he came with a style that really gave me a whole lot of fits. And I was really surprised in his back pressure. He was able to, peel out of my hand a little bit, and I had to just bite down and push center and kind of just wait it out until I got a little bit higher ground. Then I drug him back. But yeah, great match, and he was able to get a win on me in the straps. He had a really nice setup, and it took me a couple matches to figure out him fully. So hats off to Paul for really coming in correct. That was a great title defense, and it was everything I expected. So
Yeah, yeah. So it is 2023. It's a new year. Do you have any goals or ambitions for the rest of this year, or even moving forward after our match?
Kevin, my next to date is New Way Nationals. I am in search for a national title. I have a couple state titles. I would like to get a national title, and I mean that's the ultimate goal. But not honestly, Kevin, I think there's going to be a lot of great talent down at this tournament, and possibly some Southern boys might come up. So it's a good opportunity for me to get to maybe see a couple guys that I saw down in Tennessee. and just get a hit of some new meat. Maybe see some of the guys up on the um, East Coast up there.
What city is this in?
Atlantic City.
Atlantic City. Okay.
Yeah, so might bring the Jersey boys down.
Yeah.
Guys up
Yeah.
there in Connecticut,
Uh,
maybe.
last year I was lucky enough to get the IFA national championship, and
Yeah,
it
congrats.
does it adds a little bit more credibility to you.
Yeah,
Like,
and yeah, man, you know how it is, buddy.
right, like when you're talking with somebody and you can tell them, "Yeah, I'm a national champion." It
Hmm.
does makes it sound a little bit better. So
Yeah,
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 getting
yep.
title.
And a lot of times, Kevin, like people will, they'll flaunt the champion thing with the belt and stuff. But that's cool. I mean, I don't really talk much about it. Yeah, I got a belt. Yeah, that's cool. But
Right.
um, there's a whole lot of belts out there. There's a whole lot of titles, and there's a whole lot of bad dudes. So I'm just here to prove that I'm one of the baddest in my sport during a time when it's super badass in our weight. And hey, man, get talked about like all the legends in our sport do.
Yeah. Yeah.
What it's all about. Just giving it your all and seeing what you got.
Right. So somebody in the chat they just asked about your match with Alan Fisher. Are you able
Oh
to
yeah.
any type of insight on that yet?
So I mean, I don't even know what Travis is gonna do with that. It was kind of crazy how the match went. So I get down there and Travis is taking a ton of time. And you know me, like at this time, I'm super hyped up, like super, super hyped because I have no idea what to expect with Alan except what I've watched him do with Bart a few years ago on the show. And I pull with Bart all the time. And I'm like, okay, here we go. So I got really amped up and I was just, on fire. It took Travis a little longer to get going. I don't want to get into too much detail, but first match, fired off. I blasted into that big old hand, but I didn't really go too far. He drugged me down a little bit. I fought with him, and we stopped. I held him for a little bit, and I was just too far out, and he
Mm-hmm.
was able to drag me across. Got the win there. Then we switched sides, and let me tell you something, Kevin. That dude, you could train for a big hand all you want. It doesn't matter till you grab it. Like I'm training with Dave, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm getting comfortable with a big hand. It doesn't matter. Like Alan's hand is different.
Yeah, for a
So
lightweight, I think he's got the biggest hand you've ever felt.
yeah, man, and it's just different. It hits different. It's that old school type of uh that old school sideways shit.
Yeah.
So then I tried a different approach. I'm like, I can't get outside his hands too much. It's engulfing me. I had good position, but his hand just covered me. I was in his cup the whole time. So I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I'm gonna try to get arm to arm with this dude. So right off the rip, boom, blasted inside, and I stopped maybe just down a little bit. I was in the match a little bit, but I didn't have my hand at all. So he was able to get a W on me there. Then Travis wanted to throw a little twist in the mix. And you guys know Mike Verts?
Doesn't sound
Okay.
familiar. Seen him, I might know
So
him though.
so Mike Verts was there, and instead of it just being a super match between me and Alan, Travis made it a round robin. So he threw Mike Verts in. So then him and Mike had a match. They took a minute. Him and Mike had a match. He beat Mike. I'm sorry, Mike beat Alan once, and then Allen came back and beat Mike twice. So I'm like, motherfucker. So then I had to pull Mike Verse. And I'm like, dude, he just beat Allen. How the fuck am I going to beat Mike?
Right, right.
So I jumped up and I was cracked into Mike twice and I beat him twice in a row. Boom, boom. And right off the rip, I called Allen. I'm like, Allen, come on, let's go one more. So he came up. I laid into him this time hard, peeled him over a little bit. We went to the straps. Devin was reffing, set the straps up. And I was good, man. Boom, blasted into him. He hit sideways. I stopped him, held him for a minute, and then I pinned him. And that's true. So I got one on win on him. So pretty cool.
Hey, having a win over Alan Fisher, at any day
Yeah.
of the week.
Yeah, it was solid, man. I mean, I'm not sure if Travis is gonna come out with it. If he wants to bust my ass for it, I mean, whatever. I'm probably not gonna be a highlight of his series, so it's all good. But I mean, I wish I had video of it so I could even just show, because it was pretty cool. It was a monument, even to be in a match with him, to feel like I peeled him over. I mean, I couldn't produce it right off the bat, but
Mhm.
it still felt good nonetheless.
Right. Is he the most high level guy that you ever gripped up with? Like as far as our weight class?
Um, Man, no, I don't know, Kevin. I mean, Michael hits there, and so is Sam Posture.
Mm-hmm.
Those guys are really quality too. So,
Yeah, I've pulled hit. I still haven't pulled posture yet, which
dude,
he's been.
Sam
Yeah,
is on fire probably right now still too. I seen his left. I'm not sure about his right so much right now, but he's tough.
yeah. There's some bad dudes out there, and Ezzy Warden too.
Yeah, that boy's always lurking. He's just not super active.
Yeah, when I went to it was Keystone States 2 years ago, I think. I wasn't too familiar with him because, like you said, he wasn't the most active, or
Yeah,
he was
he
just.
won. He won that year, didn't he?
Yep. Oh, he crushed everybody.
Yeah, man, he's a stud.
I remember going up to Bart Wood. I'm like, who's that Ezzy guy? And he's like, oh, he's a bad dude. So
Mhm.
yeah, I love.
Kevin, one guy I want to pull just because I think he's a super cool guy, and he pulled back in my dad's time, and he's still a badass. Is RJ Molinar?
Yeah, from Swamp People.
Yeah, he just seems like a super badass, and I think that him and I could have a good match. I think that him and I would be a good match, and he's just a super exciting, energetic guy, and I just got respect for the dude because he's a stud still doing his thing. So he's somebody that I would definitely like to see sometime.
Yeah, I think he was scheduled to be at IFA Nationals last year, but he ended up coming down with COVID or something. And I
Oh,
think
okay.
he got it pretty bad to where he couldn't compete, wasn't ready enough to compete at nationals. But he's
Yeah.
definitely a dude I'd like to grip up with too.
And you know what? Back to the belt, Kevin. My next title defense will probably be Ezzy, to be honest with you. Like
Oh,
yeah.
that's
Yep.
good.
So expect that in the near future sometime. He won New York States, I believe.
Mhm.
So he um he can call me out, and I told him whenever I'm feeling good enough, and I'll give him the shot. Probably within 6 months, I bet you'll see that match. If he's ready and trained up and wants it, for sure. Definitely.
That'd be. I'll be tuning into that for sure.
Yeah. It'll be a good one. Him and I are always, rubbing shoulders, talking a little shit at each other. We're gonna get it sometime. He's a
Yep.
good dude, man. Super
Oh
good
yeah.
dude.
Yeah. Yeah. I hope I've improved enough since 2 years ago when we pulled last, and I'd like to get another
Mhm.
shot at time. So
I think so, man. You've been around. You felt a lot of hand styles and stuff, because that's why, like, the Winter Blast. That fuck that, Kevin. That don't mean shit to me, man. I'm not coming in with any expectations from that. I don't know what to expect from you, so I'm
right.
expecting all situations. So that's I don't have a game plan, bro. I don't have a game plan. I'm ready. I'm ready to go with everything, and we're gonna find out, what lanes we're gonna pick right when we grab hands. That's the way that I see it.
Yeah, I was gonna say you better have like 4 game plans because if I know you, I mean you're gonna be able to adapt to any situation, and I hope I can do the
Oh
same.
yeah,
So, yeah, the game.
absolutely. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun, Kevin. I think you and I are gonna really test each other in a lot of aspects. And I'm just looking forward to see, take me into them deep waters, man. I'm just looking to see what I'm made of too.
Yep, for sure, for sure. So let's give it like I'll ask the people out there watching if they have any questions for either you or me, and
Yeah,
then if anybody has questions, we'll answer a couple of them, and then other
right
than
on.
that, we'll head off. But
Yep,
um,
perfect.
we got like 18 people watching now, which was a little bit more than earlier. So I'm just gonna plug the event one more time. It's this
Cool.
Saturday Saturday, January 7th, Bowling Green, Ohio, the Ale House Bar and Grill. There's going to be a tournament, and there's also going to be multiple super matches, and myself and John are going to be the main event. So if you guys can make that event, I highly suggest. It's going to be not only a good show to watch, but going to be good for amateurs as a pro that shows up too.
Absolutely.
So Adam says lightweight match of the year. I guess me too. So
It could be, Kevin. I mean, honestly, for the past 2 years, it kind of been a stop match. You and I have been asked about. I mean, think about it. You and I talked on the low how many times? Like, dude, these guys are asking us to pull. I mean, you and I have always pulled each other aside and been like, hey, man, we'll have our day one day.
oh yeah.
So
So Steel 0469 said, John, how did you get your hand so strong within a year? Which I think it's been stronger for more than a year because I think it's always been your strong point, but maybe it's gotten a little bit stronger. So, any special training you got going on?
So it's not so much special training; it's more like abuse. Um, Literally, it's like abuse. The hand really doesn't get tired, and I can tell you that because there's been times I've done like up to 4,000, 5,000 reps of something a day. Like now, I'm not taking captains of crush and busting my knuckles up and doing hundreds of reps of those. I'll grab a 250 or like a 200-pound country of crush or captains of crush, once a week and maybe slam out 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, just to see where the power is. If I'm doing too many reps, I'll know I can only squeeze that thing so many times. I'll know, okay, more reps, less reps. But if I could say in a nutshell, man, get yourself a plethora of tools and squeeze all day from uh, rubber bands around your hands going this way, um, a stress ball and pushing into your thumb like this, light 50-pound grippers like all day. Listen, I got a gripper in my hand from 5:50 a.m. to like 11 o'clock when I go to bed. They're everywhere. They're in my car. They're in my bathroom. They're in my work. They're everywhere. I literally like don't have a gripper in my hand unless it's the week of the event. So in all reality, man, I do 1,000 to 1,200 reps of grippers a day. I'm just grip. I'm doing something. My hand is always squeezing something. Then it gets to a point where I just hold it and I'll walk around with something. It doesn't have to be 100, 300, 400 pounds of pressure. It could be 25 pounds of pressure, a little stress ball that you just bang hours, hours, hours. You sit in your hand, you get carried away. 5 minutes goes by, your hand's still in this position. You know how strong your hand's gonna be? And it's not so much, guys, that my hands got clamping power. Like, yeah, there's a certain spot where I can really squeeze the shit out of something. But it's the fact that would I stop here, it ain't coming backwards. That's where a lot of my strength is you just ain't getting out.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just reps, 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 reps. My handles, Lucas Raymond handles, Country Crush handles, that's all for like forearm and just grabbing shit and just smashing it. There's really no, in my opinion, direct benefit from doing handles to arm wrestling unless you know how to arm wrestle the handle. There's a trick,
Absolutely.
man. You gotta arm wrestle the stuff in your hand. You can't just smash a weight, put it on the rack, and then put your handle on there and smack it. Say, all right, I'm strong. I can arm wrestle. Well, you gotta arm wrestle that handle. So
Right.
that's how you make your hand strong, man. You arm wrestle everything.
Yeah, because I mean, you see some guys that they use these handles and they're lifting well above what I can lift, but if they
Sure.
don't know on the table, it's not going to translate.
Yeah. Time under tension for the hand. The hand loves it. It's the most wanted working muscle or whatever you want to call it on the body. It will outwork anything.
Oh, for
So,
sure.
the less I move my mouth, the more I move my hand. So, you can see the difference.
That's true. Yeah, yeah. So 69, he asked me a question: how does rock climbing benefit your arm wrestling skills? Um, I wouldn't necessarily say rock climbing is a major benefit to arm wrestling. However, over the years, it does build up your tendons and ligaments. Um, and the injury prevention part of rock climbing is huge because I generally do table time on Sundays and then I do rock climbing on Mondays. So a lot of times after a hard practice, your arm kind of gets like locked in that arm wrestling position. When I go rock climbing, I'm constantly stretching out. I'm constantly breaking everything up. Just staying healthy. I think that's the main thing with rock climbing is it helps me stay healthy for arm wrestling. But as far as like arm wrestling skills or um, yeah, it's more of like a foundation strength than it is actually benefiting arm wrestling itself. But I mean, the finger strength is good too, but I just don't think it's a huge benefit for arm wrestling. But it helps. It definitely helps.
Kevin, you know what? I'll add to that too. Like maybe from the outside looking in, where I see it is, and you could probably understand this too. As we evolve in the sport, I mean, it's harder to stay arm wrestling hard while you get better. So sometimes it's nice having a different outlet that can still give you some arm wrestling benefit that you can do as a pastime. Like if I'm not arm wrestling, I'm usually training something. So my body's getting beat up and affected and is taken away from arm wrestling unless it's a rehab style workout. So I see, like you say, the rock climbing is like your rehab. However, it's like a rehab that benefits. You're getting stronger and healing at the same time. So I can see why you do that because I've started to correlate some of those other type of how do I say, functional exercises that are good for our sport that they don't hurt as bad. Arm
Right.
wrestling hurts.
It does. And rock climbing, I rock climbing doesn't really hurt. You'll get the forearm soreness and stuff, but yeah, it's I think it's the perfect sport to go hand in hand with arm wrestling. Yeah,
I
cuz
see it too, Kevin, with your finger strength too. Like there's a lot of times where you got to catch guys on the fingers, or you even manipulate their hand and push them with the fingers. So when you grab that rock, your hand is twisted certain ways. Like maybe a guy busts out, gets on your bottom fingers a little too much, and you gotta. Yeah, so I can see where it relates for sure. And you can sit on one of them rocks and really hold that spot. Be like, okay, I'm getting top rolled. I got to hold on this rock.
yeah, for sure. And to that guy who asked the question, try to find an indoor rock gym by you and see how it benefits you. I mean, everybody trains differently. Everybody, yeah, everybody. There's a couple more questions coming in. So
Yeah, I see. Yep.
Zach Perkins asked, how much table time a week do each of you try to get when training for a match? You want to go first, John?
Yeah, so um it's really hard to tell. I mean, I can say this being in this game a long time. Um the best guys to ask are guys like John B and Devin. I personally am still trying to find my way on what is overtrained, what is undertrained, what is peaked. I'm still unsure of really how much table time I should take off and how much I don't need. So at this moment, I could say, Kevin, I have documented a ton of information on this keep just between you and I. Um, so I can now go off of this and see how I do uh, and give a better interpretation of that question because, Bud, I really don't know. I've been told by the greats to take 3 weeks off of like no table time. But again, it's all of how you are as an athlete. Like me, if I take too much time off, I get cramped up. So like Bart and my teammate John, we were pulling 85% yesterday, but a controlled 85%. And there were times of very live 5-6 second holds and then very slow, solid releases. No bullshit where somebody's trying to pin each other, but almost like getting that getting your arm a little bit ready. I feel like too much downtime is not good. But again, you got to find your way, and that's just something maybe you should document. But I've been told a rule of thumb is 3 weeks, so I would start with 3 weeks.
Yeah, somebody actually just messaged me and asked me this question today. So like, usually I do table time once, but if I get an opportunity, hey, you want to pull John Heynoski? Yes. And then say I know I have 4 or 5 months to train, I kind of get this fire under my butt to where I'm going to start doing maybe 2 or 3 times a week table time,
Mm-hmm.
where
Right on.
they're not all going to be 100% because, like you were saying, your body just cannot handle going 100%
Mm-hmm.
every practice. So as long as you listen to your body and you know how you're feeling,
Mm-hmm.
that's where you arm wrestle to. So if I went a little bit harder on Sunday, my next practice on Wednesday might be a little bit easier. Might do a little
Mm-hmm.
bit of but yeah, if it's a big match like me versus you, I'm taking probably 2 weeks off of
Right.
like hard table time.
Right. Right.
I'm at Morgan's house right now and we pulled for probably just 10, 15 minutes, just keeping the elbow
Absolutely.
moving on the pads because like
Yep.
you don't want to go into the match on Saturday and you're like, man, I forgot how to arm wrestle because I haven't done it in 3 weeks.
Yep.
So yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah.
just listen to your body, arm wrestle as much as you can. If you're getting a little bit sore, back it off a little bit. If you're feeling good, you can up it a little bit. And then, yeah, take probably 2 or 3 weeks off of hard practice, but you can still continue doing something in that meantime.
Right on.
Good teammates.
John, you've developed a hook, and Kev, you've developed a top roll. To the both of you guys, what made the switch, and how often do you train your non dominant positions? I guess I'll start with that one first. Um, like I was saying earlier, being predominantly a hook puller, people start to figure you out. And once you become figured out, that's when people are going to beat you, which is why I started training my top roll more. Because now when I go into a match, people are expecting, oh, that's Kevin. He's going to hook me. And then next thing they know it, I'm blasting backwards through their fingers. That's the primary reason why I started developing my top roll. And I'm sure for you, it's a similar reason.
Yeah. So a lot of it, Kevin, it was odd how when I first started in this sport, I was a hook puller. It was an ugly hook, but it was a hook nonetheless. And then over time, um, my outside game just started to develop, and I had better success there. So for me, I just stayed there, and I was in pursuit of success. And when I stopped having success, where I wanted to have success with my top roll, I had to look in the mirror and go, all right, well, your top roll is pretty devastating. But, if you're at a level 9 and you can get to a level 10 top roll, but you're getting beat with a level 9 and your hook is like a level 3, well, fuck that. But you just want to throw a top roll all the time. And then if I got caught, then it was either a dog fight or I lost. And how many times I heard Hayton, hook that motherfucker, hook him. Well, fuck that. You hook me now. So, that's kind of what it was, man. I just want to hear nobody talking about my hook. So I said, fuck it, I'm going to make a hell of a hook. So we're going to test my hook, Kevin, and see if I can a hook for you, bro.
Yeah, yeah.
That's really
And
what
to
it is. And Kevin, bro, you gotta adapt. You can't go over to France with a cute little hook and not, and think you're gonna have success. Them boys are tough. They're coming with everything. You gotta have top row, you gotta have press, you gotta have outside, inside game, you gotta have strap game, you gotta have evasive tactics, you gotta have tactics that burn your opponent out a little bit. You gotta have everything, Kevin. So it's a pursuit of just making one better that I guess made me a want to develop a hook. And shit, man, I might even want to develop a press one day. I might start pressing,
For
you know?
sure. I've started developing a King's move, so
Right on. It had
hopefully I'll
success.
put out this weekend.
Yeah. Hey, you never know, Kevin. That'd be some shit, wouldn't it?
Oh yeah, that would be something. So to answer the second part of that guy's question, I
Yeah.
usually my top roll the majority of the time. I never train my hook. Like in the gym, I never train my hook.
So as far as my training goes, is I usually just touch up on a little bit of everything. I personally, Kevin, don't think that I have a true acid weapon. I don't think that my body mechanics gives me a better hook, a better press, a better top roll. Um, I think that I've just kind of utilized a certain style that benefited, my whole athletic upbringing. And I think that right now, with me developing a hook and pushing my arm into battle, is kind of giving me uh, is leading me more towards my actual style in the sport. So I think that I just enjoy being a dynamic puller, and I want to hook. I want a top roll. I'd like to do it all. To be honest with you, I
Yeah,
just don't have any chinks in my armor.
yeah, I'm the same way.
Mhm.
Juan Ortega asked, "What is your club called out there in Erie?"
So there's a couple like different, crews. We have Team Relentless, which is basically like everybody. And then I have my own little, like my Lions Den crew was just my own little gym. It's got its own little twist to it, but we're as a whole, we're Team Relentless as a whole.
Okay.
The Erie Wrecking Crew was for the Game of Arms television show. We were Erie Wrecking Crew.
How much weight do you normally cut to get to 154? I usually walk around about 165. I do a caloric deficit about 2 weeks out, and then the last couple pounds, just the last couple days, will be the last couple of pounds. So the weight cut's usually fairly easy for me. Just got to restrict my diet and stay a little bit more disciplined, not eating as much as I usually do. So
Yeah, similar with me, Kevin. I like I said with you, I've documented a bunch of the whole different type of weight cut. And I just want to try something different. It's not going as good as I hoped it this week. Um, my goal was to be 154 all week
mm,
and just maintain 54 because I wanted to get my body down and just see how I acted at 154, get comfortable with that weight because that's what I'm going to do battle at, and just ride that weight and see how I felt. I was down to 54.2 on Monday, but then my body just didn't want to maintain that type of weight for that long, and I shot back up to like 58. So I'm walking around like between 57 and 59, maybe 62 if I eat a little bit of extra carbs that day. Usually weight cuts aren't super severe for me. Just depends on how lean I am. Normally, the way that I've done it before, I've usually come in like 5, 8 pounds over the night before and just shred up that night, rehydrate in the morning, and weigh a fucking shit ton the next day. But I don't think I want to do that this time. I really want to compete at like 160, maybe.
yeah, I've done
You
that
know?
too, where you just try to rehydrate and eat to get, you know,
Yeah.
back. But then I always end up overeating. I got a stomach
Right.
ache. I feel like shit that night. I mean,
Yeah.
next day for competition, I'm usually back and feeling better. But I always
Yeah.
make myself sick that Friday night after weigh-ins, and then I'm in
And
bed.
and with this weigh in too, like I know it's 54, but like if you're within the what do we get, 3 pound weight allowance? We get pound clothing allowance.
I'm not sure for a
I mean,
fact.
dude, if you're within 57 to 59, man, we're cool. Like I'm not gonna worry about a few pounds, We've pulled all the way up to 65. So left, I'd like to just be weighed in.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. Let's see. Josh Bachelor asked what sports was John into in his younger years. He kind of answered that earlier. He was a wrestler and a fighter.
Yep.
How good did you get at wrestling? Were you ever state qualifier, state champ? Did you get that high or?
My senior year, so I placed. I was a 3-time District 10 champion. Which you guys have districts and stuff. You guys have district sections, regions, states.
Ohio does. So I actually wrestled in Ohio and New York. New York only had
Okay.
a tournament. If you won sectionals, you moved on to state.
Okay. So we had a districts, a regions, and states. My senior year of high school, I placed 7th at PA states, or I'm sorry, 8th PA states at 119 pounds, 2005. So yeah, I did bring home a medal. I was a pretty solid little 19 pounder. I was a hardworking kid. I had a lot of good skills, good on top, but just lacked a little bit of what it took to be, top 5.
Yeah, I think experience was a big detriment for me because I my first year ever wrestling was in 7th grade, and then
Okay,
I stopped again until 10th grade, and then I did 10th, 11th,
killed it.
and then my senior year I did make it to state. However, I got tech falled and I got pinned, so it was a rough day at the office for me at state.
Well, I'll tell you this, Kevin, man, just making it to states is respectable because you know what quality is down there and how many matches were won by 1 or 2 points all the way to the finals.
Exactly.
So those guys are like what separates number 1 and number 15 is like our class of 54. There's just micro adjustments.
Yeah. Yeah, like the way I look at it right now for our class, the top 3, they're pretty
They stand alone.
they're the solidified guys at the top. From
Absolutely.
4 all the way down to probably 10 can be mixed and matched either way. And
Right. Right.
15 who they're going to eventually work their way up and they're going to be in that mix of top 10 too. So,
And Kevin, don't let a top 20 catch one of us a little whooped. You
mm,
know what I'm saying? The boys are they're little snipers in the
oh,
game,
yeah, it can
and they
happen.
get hungry when they see us with our tongues hanging out a little bit.
Yeah, I'll tell you somebody I'm interested in pulling again is LaRae Jenkins. You ever pull him?
So am I. I have. That fucker beat me in Tennessee.
Me too, but it was after my match with Hunter Knopfs. But
Yeah. Yeah.
felt legit. So I'm like, I know
He's tough.
match, but I still didn't feel like I could do anything with him either way. So I would like to pull him fresh and see what happens.
I agree. I'm feeling that too, and there's a possibility he might be up at New Way. I mean, maybe he pulls in the New Way league, so a lot of them Southern boys down there are strong. Like them Doherty brothers are pretty tough too, and oh man, I can't remember these other 2 brothers, but they're both young. One of them's maybe over 200, and the one kid's in our class. He's an amateur, but he's tough as hell.
Yeah.
I don't recall his name. Yeah,
And then you got Cody Wood. He's chomping at the bit to pull us too. I know
absolutely.
he already called dibs. Whoever wins our match, he gets the next shot at. So,
Well, he got to put up
I,
some cheese, man.
right. If I win, I'm okay with pulling Cody. So, yeah, as long as we
Yeah.
can get
So am
play,
I. Dude, if I lose, I'll pull the motherfucker.
I would rather not have to travel down to him to pull the match.
Unless he pay the money. Pay the
Exactly.
money and I'll come. You
Exactly.
know?
So, but yeah, I'm willing to pull him as well. So,
Yeah.
all right, that'll be our last question, and then we'll go ahead and sign off. To
Right
both of
on.
y'all have both had losses. What do you do to motivate yourselves to prepare for the next tournament or match?
Oh man. Well, that just kind of goes back to like my DNA, man. Like the first time you ever suffered a loss is kind of who you're gonna be. So um, I've always just been told, short memory,
Mm.
forget about it, move on. But it depends. I mean, did we lose a super match? Did you lose a match and you got to pull again? What did you lose? So I'll give you a couple scenarios. So let's say like I lose, I'm in a match and, I'm a super match and I take a loss. Well, you have to understand that's part of the game. Two
Yeah.
guys, one got to win. So you either need to understand, figure out a plan. So what I do is I come prepared to lose. So if I lose, well, I'm already prepared on how I'm gonna take that loss. So there's like minimal time of me thinking about the bullshit. So I can just go, fuck it. Here's my loss plan. I execute it, and here we go. We're already back up, ready, go, and I'm executing a new plan. Hey man, I got you this time. So losses are this is part of the game, man. And if you did your homework, then you'll know how to suffer a loss. The best way to suffer a loss is go out and get your ass whooped. Take ass whoopings on a daily. Get comfortable with losing. Lose as much as you can, and you'll develop plans on how to lose because you're constantly losing. That's why I train with the guys I do, Kevin, because I'm always losing.
Yep.
I'm always developing losing plans. So you got to just rally back. You got to have the confidence in yourself. You got to know, hey man, I put the time in, I put the work in. There's time on the clock. There's time to win. So figure it out. Get back in there. Do something different, or go harder the same way you did. Maybe you just were soft on that one. So I think that losing, you just got to ask yourself a couple questions. What are you doing? And I think that they'll answer themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, nothing motivates me. I think my motivation is always a consistent line. Now, sometimes a certain match or a certain event, your motivation might go up a little bit more. But I think just you either have the competitiveness in you or you don't. Some people
Right.
like to do sport or any sport and they just do it for fun. They like to come out, drink a few beers, hang out with their friends, and that's totally fine. That's what they like to.
Mhm.
I think somebody like me or you, John, who have that natural born competitiveness,
Gameness.
it's always there. It's a straight
Right.
line. And
It is.
it might
Uh,
go up a bit for certain matches, but I never
right.
look for motivation. Like I don't have to act like I hate you, John, because oh I hate
Right.
I gotta get pumped up for this match because I hate
Right.
John. No,
Yeah.
it's always there, always a straight
Yeah.
line.
I
And I think
agree.
that's just either something you're born with or something that you've developed at a young age that you continue to progress with. So, yeah, that's where my.
Absolutely.
So, you got
Right
anything
on.
here at the end of our conversation, John?
No, man, that's about it. Want to thank everybody for tuning in. Hopefully, we see some heads out there. Shout out to Juan for putting this event on. Shout out to all the Erie guys, 814 Team Relentless, everybody that's helped me get ready for this keep. All the support back from home, support from my work, my employer, man. They've been super supportive of my event, and always keeping in touch with how the training is going. So they're excited about this match, and yeah, me as well. Best of luck to you, Kevin. Bring your A game, brother. It's going to be fun.
Yes, sir. I'll be coming. A bunch of guys from the Cleveland arm wrestling team are coming to back me. So, it's
Right on, brother.
gonna be a good time. I will see you Friday night for weigh-ins. Maybe we'll do like a live stream for weigh-ins or something, and then Saturday we'll see you for the match.
Sounds good, buddy. Take
All right.
care, man.
Yep. I appreciate you coming on. All right. Later, man.
Peace.